One is more comfortable wading into the conflict. They're more comfortable talking about it. They want to engage in the uncomfortable conversation that makes them feel better. And then there's the other partner that's like, breaks, get me out of here. I do not like this conflict. Can we cool it? Very calm, or I'm not engaging. So many people have a mismatch in there. And like you said, Kyle, you're right. It's couples need to kind of come together and be willing to talk about what are our different styles? What do we want? So for my partner, he'd probably prefer if I just didn't say anything sometimes, or I need to work on being really level. So I have a big emotional range, high highs, low lows, and many women relate to that. Between our cycles and our emotional range is just different. It tends to be wider. Not all women, but many women relate to that. And certainly some men have that wide emotional range, but not all of them quite relate to that. Certainly some do, but not all. So these are sweeping over generalizations. So whether that's social conditioning, so many boys from small age, you're told like, don't cry, that's weak, don't express emotion. So naturally it makes sense. You grow up, you're not going to do that. Whereas for little girls, in most cases, that's more acceptable. So for most opposite gender relationships, we're taught different messages about emotion for most of our lives. So it's no surprise that when you get into a relationship with an opposite gender person, that you're going to struggle with your emotional expression. Now, certainly that's a sweeping over generalization, but can be generally true. So that being said, most men, not all men, tend to shut down or stonewall in high conflict conversations. I think 85% about, whereas that's not typically the response that women do. So typically that's happening when your heart rate exceeds 100 beats per minute, you shut down. For men in that way. Yeah. The antidote to that is taking a break and re-engaging in a calmer way. But this is being willing to know your partner and understand the way you both show up. So if I know that that's my partner, my job would be to approach probably with more calmness, to work on my delivery of a message and make it safe to stay engaged so that my partner's heart rate can stay under 100 beats per minute as we talk about the hard thing. So there's effort on my part. Now, on the other hand, if my partner prefers to not get into it, but I need that emotional connection, like for me, that feels emotional connection to work through something. It feels like we're sharing the load, the labor. My partner has to work to stay engaged when my partner would rather probably do anything else in the world. But that means expressing could be empathy. So if I'm talking about I'm upset because all my clients were late today, even if he doesn't care, to say, yeah, that must be frustrating. Or if we're talking about house cleaning around the house and I'm expressing frustration because I feel like I do more, for him to be able to say, yeah, that sounds hard, or ask me open-ended questions to stay engaged, to have the conversation. But we both have to be willing to do different things based on what our partner's strengths and weaknesses are, and be able to think about what they need from their perspective, not from our own.